What is going on, everybody? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Steelers Almighty. Appreciate everybody being in here, man. Uh, we have got a nice quality show for you guys this evening, man. We've got a lot to talk about. This search for the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach is starting to heat up. Talking about Brian Flores. Should he be the guy or should he not be the guy? Also, Mike McCarthy. He is interviewing today. What are we to make of that? Like, it's really starting to heat up about talks about Mike McCarthy. We'll discuss that. And also, do the Steelers need a complete reset? Do we just need to start over and move forward from that aspect? Just a complete reset. So we'll discuss all of that and more with you guys, man. I appreciate you guys being in here. Got some members that have shown up today. Mr. Steeler Lee, what is going on, man? We appreciate you. My main man, Jason, says, what's the front office doing with the interview of Mike McCarthy? Yeah, we'll talk about it, man. It's wild. It is wild as far as what is going on. So, man, it is what it is. Mike McCarthy, Brian Flores, are they waiting? We'll discuss all that, man. So I appreciate everybody being in here today. Should be a good show. Again, remember to like, follow, subscribe, get in the comments section. Let me know exactly what you guys are thinking, man. So I appreciate you. Tim Hopper is in the house. He said it's 3 a.m. where he is at. I'm going to guess that makes it Australia, possibly. Well, we appreciate you being in here, my man. And there's my main man, CID, said McCarthy probably brought ideas to the table that the brass are interested in hearing, but he is not him. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but we'll discuss it. So first things first, Brian Flores. So the Steelers are interviewing him. They didn't do a virtual interview with Brian Flores. They brought him in, and they are interviewing him face to face. And my thoughts, again, you all know me, and if you don't, my order is Flores, Shula, and Jesse Minter. And my thoughts about Brian Flores is, if this interview after today, it's like, if the Steelers want him, why won't they just hire him? That would be my first thought. If this was the Steelers guy, you interview him today, why don't you just hire him? There's nothing in the way. Now, I do know that, the Steelers are going to do their due diligence, and I totally understand that. And I'm behind that, by the way. I want them to do their due diligence. But if you wait too much longer, somebody else may hire Brian Flores. So I guess my question is, and you guys let me know in the chat, do we want Brian Flores? Like, is he the guy? Do you want a defensive coach? It sounds like the Steelers are kind of in the mindset of getting a defensive guy to be the head coach and then hiring an offensive coordinator that's going to run the offense, which is something that should have been happening all along, but Mike Tomlin just didn't allow that. So, okay. So what is the situation with Flores? And that's my thing is, do your due diligence, but if this is your guy, hire your guy. It's kind of like when they hired Mike Tomlin. They interviewed him. He blew him away, but they didn't hire him right away. But then they kept talking, and then they were like, you know what? This is the guy. So maybe they'll do the same thing with Flores. I don't know. I want Flores to be the guy, but like I said, if the interview goes good, why don't you just hire the guy? And there's no sense in waiting, because if you do wait to say you're going to do your due diligence and then somebody else interviews them and says, nah, Flores is our guy, and then he snatches them up. Okay. Well, then I know what people are thinking. Well, what about Shula? Well, you can't bring Shula in until after the games this week. And I know with Shula, look, and this would be a dream as far as a staff, because if you brought Shula in You could get Shieldhouse to be your offensive coordinator, who we already interviewed for the head coaching job. And then another name, somebody that actually Shula worked for before he came the defensive coordinator, is Raheem Morris. You could have Raheem Morris be your defensive coordinator. Now that I could dig. You get a former head coach and a former very, very successful defensive coordinator to be your defensive coordinator. You hire a new young head coach. You bring in a fresh mind to run your offense. I think the Steelers would be cooking if that were to happen. Now, again, I said it before, I like Flores first, but I'm just saying, you get Shula, Shieldhouse, and you bring in Raheem Morris. I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, I would love it. I would love it. But I don't know. That's the thing, is that I just fear waiting. The Steelers are going to miss out on somebody if we wait. That's my whole fear, is that we're going to miss out. Now, the domino effect. Here's the thing. We've seen some head coaches be hired already, but the Steelers weren't going to hire Robert Saleh. Like, he wasn't on the radar. The Steelers damn sure wasn't going to hire Kevin Stefanski, although I kept messing with Big G in our side chat, with the producer. I kept messing with Big G. Big G's head was going to explode. I kept messing with him, talking about Stefanski and the Steelers need him. I kept messing with. I thought G was literally going to explode on the phone. I thought his head was going to explode. Excuse me. Pause. I thought his head was going to explode. It was funny. But no way were the Steelers going to hire Stefanski. And Halfley, I know they did they did, a virtual interview. And no, I don't think he was really on the radar. I think the Steelers may have been doing their due diligence to see if he blew them away or not. He did not. And he goes to the Dolphins. And quite frankly, to go to the Dolphins, if you thought you were going to get the Steelers job, why would you take the Dolphins job? So I think that kind of sums it up. So there's that. But here we are. So none of those coaches were somebody that were on the Steelers' radar. Now, they could be on other teams' radar. And so now the pool of coaches out there has shrank, but I don't think that the Steelers I just don't think that there's anything that the Steelers needed to worry about with those coaches at all. I think the Steelers were fine. So Flores, I see somebody said Flores is 1 year older than Shula, but they're not old guys. Like, Flores is 44. So it's not like he's just been – people think that Brian Flores is like in his mid-50s just because he's been doing it forever. He started with New England. He was 23. So he's just been at it for a long time in the NFL. But, yeah, he is not – he's 44. That's it. And that's crazy to think, because I'm like you. I looked up his age when this whole thing started. I'm like, how old is this guy? He's 44, man. He is not old at all. So now Shula's only 39. So it's he's 5 years older. But still, okay. I mean, again, we're talking about a 44-year-old guy. We can't be acting like 44 is old now. It isn't. It is not. Even in coaching years, it is not. Even if you said, well, this guy's going to be the head coach for the next 20 years. Great. It still doesn't make it old. It doesn't. Not at all. So, main man Tyler, thanks for the super chat. He said, Big B said, wife is being induced today. First time dad. Another fan of the channel. Well, man, first of all, Tyler, congratulations. My goodness. Congratulations. Good luck to everybody that's involved, to you, your wife, your child. Man, thank you. And congratulations on being a first-time dad, man. That is great stuff. That is great stuff. We appreciate you sharing that too. You know the chat loves it. So congratulations, my man. We love it and hope everybody is safe and sound. You got to let us know, Tyler, as soon as you can. Again, take care of all of that. In a week or so, come back and let us know that everybody's safe and sound, my man. Thank you so much for sharing that news. We appreciate you. So, somebody, the chat is wild, man. It said proof that Tyler knows how to use his Johnson. Lord heaven, we can't even have a baby announcement in here without y'all going off the rails. What is going on? Lord have mercy. Unbelievable, man. We appreciate it, Tyler. Thank you very, very much, my man, for letting us know that. But that's where I'm at with it, is with Brian Flores. I just fear that if we don't hire him so soon, somebody else will. And again, that's my whole thing with Shula. To me, I want Flores, but I think if we get Shula, I think we're going to get the best staff. And it's not that Flores can't get the best staff. I'm not saying he can't. All I'm saying is because I really like Shieldhouse. I like Nathan Shieldhouse. I've done some research on what he brings to the table. I like him. And if he comes to Pittsburgh to run our offense, whew, okay. Very, very happy with that. We'll be very happy with that. And he's on the fast track to becoming a head coach himself anyway. So great. But I would love for that to happen. Shieldhouse, offensive coordinator, and Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator. And Raheem Morris and Shula go back because Shula worked for Raheem Morris before Morris got the job in Atlanta. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. So that's where I would be with it. That's where I'm at. Oh, man. And no, we don't want Mike McDaniel. Here's the thing with Mike McDaniel is that Mike McDaniel lost his locker room. And Mike McDaniel is going to need an opportunity to go prove that he could be a leader of men. I don't want him to go prove that in Pittsburgh. I would go somewhere else and prove that. And then if you want to become the offensive coordinator here a couple years down the road, fine. But he's got to rebuild his reputation, and I just don't want him rebuilding his reputation with us. I don't want to take that risk on. Let somebody else be his reclamation project and then come to us when it's fixed. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So that's just me personally. That's what I would think. Sean McDermott, I think Sean McDermott may be going to the Ravens. I know that the Ravens are high on Brian Flores. I think Sean McDermott may be going to the Ravens. That's just my personal thought, is that he may be headed there. So wherever it is, the one thing that I don't want, this is the only thing that I don't want, and this doesn't even have anything to do with the Steelers. I don't want Cliff Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. I don't want that at all. So if that means the Steelers got to hire him, okay, I'll take it. But Cliff Kingsbury's not going to be the head coach, but I don't want him being the offensive coordinator because whatever you have to say about Cliff Kingsbury as a head coach, fine. But as an offensive mind, the guy knows what he's doing. You put that with Lamar Jackson, that would be trouble for us. So I don't want that. I don't want that. So, and yeah, I don't want that at all. Who goes to Buffalo, man? I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm not even I'm not even concerned with who's going other places. Other than that, what I just said. But who gets the coach? I just need a head coach for us first. So now TCO says Brian Flores is a no. Why is Brian Flores a no? You know, and I'm not mad either way or anything like that, but you're saying no. Why no to him? No, Chris Shula is not off the table at all. Not off the table at all. So not at all. But why no to Brian Flores? And any of you out there, if you think no to Brian Flores, what's the reason? Is it because you want Shula, or do you not think Brian Flores is good enough? And I'm just curious. I'm just curious on what your thoughts were, because I've seen a couple other people say no to Brian Flores, um, and I'm just questioning why. Why? Not questioning you, just asking those questions. So Jason said it's a good sign that the Steelers are doing a second interview for Flores. It absolutely is, and they're bringing him in. So it is a good sign. Another one, Sid says Shieldhouse is head coach, Flores is DC. Shieldhouse brings other Rams offensive staff to fill out his. I think he could do that anyway. Even if he was the offensive coordinator, he could do that. So, TCO said because he's going to deal with the same thing Tomlin went through when you lose. I think any head coach is going to deal with that if you lose. I think any head coach, if they lose, or maybe not to the extent, and I get what you're saying, but I think if you lose, you're going to deal with it. So, the Vikings defense was actually good this year. And that was with a bad offense that they had to play behind. Their defense was actually good. And the Steelers didn't destroy them. So, but no, their defense finished in the top 10 in points and yards allowed. So defense wasn't bad. Defense wasn't bad. Now let's move on, people. Again, welcome. Anybody want your comment, question, or rant up on the screen? Super chats are wide open. If you want to help support the channel that way, you can. Mike McCarthy is getting an interview from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'll just be honest with you, I just don't know why. I have no clue why they would hire Mike McCarthy. Here's the thing. Number one, he's 62 years old. Now, I'm not age discriminating against anybody, but if you want a young head coach with young, fresh ideas, you can't hire a 62-year-old. You know, it's the same thing with, like, when people were screaming John Gruden. I'm like, what? For what? And the same thing holds true for Mike McCarthy. You just got off of Mike Tomlin, okay? So now you're going to hire a guy who's almost 10 years older than Mike Tomlin with a worse coaching record than Mike Tomlin. Why? No. It makes absolutely no sense. Again, you're going to be having to replace him in another 5 years. Why do you want to do that? Or do the Steelers need to get out of their way of thinking, hey, we're going to hire our coach and he's just going to be the coach for the next 20 years and then we'll move on to the next one? Do the Steelers need to get out of that way of thinking and say, hey, we're going to hire a guy, and if it doesn't work after 3 or 4 years, we need to go to the next guy and try to keep finding them? Now, I've said that in the past, that the Steelers don't need to stick constantly to the Steeler way. That a lot of things in the old Steeler way no longer work in today's football. And I think there's a lot to that. But Mike McCarthy is not the answer for the Steelers, people. Here's the thing. He got fired in Green Bay. Now, a lot of people say, well, if you get Mike McCarthy, then Aaron Rodgers will come back. One, Mike McCarthy got fired in Green Bay because Aaron Rodgers and him no longer got along. He didn't like Mike McCarthy. Didn't like his offense. So that's number one. Number two, as far as Mike McCarthy, he got fired again by the Cowboys, and nobody wanted him to be a coach. Like, he didn't get any interviews last offseason. So now, why is he interviewing now? I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And for me, now again, Steelers are going to do what they're going to do, and none of us have a say, but we can talk about it. We can have opinions. Just because we're not in the room don't mean we can't have opinions. There's no way the Steelers should hire this guy. And everybody says, oh, he's from Pittsburgh. Yeah, there it is. Scott said, so what if he's from Pittsburgh? Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it. I don't care if Mike McCarthy was born in Three River Stadium. I don't care. He cannot be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't care that he's from Pittsburgh. That it doesn't matter. And just what Scott said, baby hands went to Pitt. How'd that work out? No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know, this we got to move on. Oh, and his candidacy is a coaching job with a strong candidacy. No, no, no. And maybe this is just smoke and mirrors. Who knows? But yeah, that to me is we can't hire Mike McCarthy. He again, Steeler fans are wanting fresh ideas. Mike McCarthy doesn't bring that. And somebody tried to point out, well, he had the Cowboys offense, in the top 10 and they won 13 games. Okay, but they didn't win in the playoffs. Do you want that? We just got rid of a coach that was really good in the regular season that couldn't do anything in the playoffs with a better record than Mike McCarthy. You want to keep doing that? Or let's just say Aaron Rodgers says, you know what? I do like Mike McCarthy. I'll run it back for one more year if Mike is the head coach. Really? We're going to stay in the mindset of, oh, let's go one more year. Just one more year. Just one more year. Like, how often are we going to do that? Oh, my gosh. That, like I said, no to Mike McCarthy, ladies and gentlemen. No. No. And I don't care what. Like I said, he can have all the Pittsburgh blood that he wants. That don't mean he has to be the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It does not mean that. And if the Steelers are serious about winning, then the answer has to be absolutely not. If they're really serious, then Mike McCarthy can't be the head coach. Hopefully, Omar Khan may have some say in the room, because if he does, there's no way that Omar Khan wants Mike McCarthy. There's absolutely no way. No way in hell that he wants Mike McCarthy to be the head coach of the Steelers. And I would say this. I'll throw this out there. If Mike McCarthy's the head coach, that means Art 2 is the person who made the final decision and hired him. I wouldn't be surprised within a year or two if you don't have a new staff, new general manager, vice president. I wouldn't be surprised if Omar Khan's like, you know what? I'm not going to be attached to this. I didn't hire this guy. I'm out of here. And maybe that's what some people want anyway, but I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Would not be surprised because, again, Art's only thinking, let's just kick the can down the road. Let's just kick it down the road. Which brings me to my third topic of the day. Do the Steelers need a total reset? Like, do we need a reset altogether? You see everybody else is getting resets. There's 10 vacancies. 4 are filled. Do the Steelers need just a complete turnover? Just start fresh? My answer is yes. That is what we've been asking for how long? Because I was under the mindset of I would be fine with Mike Tomlin being my head coach, but he has to change his offensive and defensive philosophy. He has to change his philosophy on how to win in today's NFL. If he does and bring in guys that are going to run an offense and run a defense, and he's just the overseer, perfect. But that's not what he did. We need somebody with new ideas, a fresh philosophy. We need a total reset, people. We can't be hiring retread coaches that got fired. Like some people are like Sean McDermott. What did Sean McDermott? He couldn't get over the hump in Buffalo, and they fired him. Now, granted, the Steelers couldn't win a playoff game, so that was our problem. But do you want somebody who got fired for not getting over the hump? To me, I think you got to go a different direction. Sean McDermott would not be the guy that I would hire either. And it's not because I don't think he's a good coach. We need something fresh, something new. And I don't think he brings that. Hell, he went to college with Mike Tomlin, for crying out loud. And not that they're the same guy. I'm not saying they're the same guy. I'm just saying let's start fresh. Let's do something new. Let's get in these comments. So, Past the Joint Pod says Big B is the best Steelers analyst out there. Well, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you saying that. Small Things to a Giant. I love that name, by the way. So I wonder, would Tomlin have any say, or would they take any suggestions? I would guess they are taking 0 suggestions from Mike Tomlin, and Mike Tomlin's not going to give them any. So he's not going to give them any. Somebody's saying Kirk Cignetti. Kirk Cignetti is a college coach. Be careful what you wish for. College coaches and NFL coaches are totally different. You can treat the guys a lot different. You can treat kids different than you can treat grown men, even in today's day and age. So Cignetti not going to leave Indiana either. I mean, they're going to name the stadium after Cignetti. He's going to get a statue, and he's only coached there 2 years. So, yeah, they're not doing anything. He's not leaving that place. He's not leaving that place. No matter what, he's not leaving. Would you bring in Flores, says Kareem. He said OC, but I'm pretty sure you meant DC. I still want Flores as my head coach. So before we try to make him the defensive coordinator, I still want him as the head coach. And my thing is, I don't even think Brian Flores is going to make a lateral move. If he doesn't get a head coaching job, he's just going to go back to the job that he has. So I know people are saying, hey, we could get Flores as our defensive coordinator. He's not going to do that. Because why go be a defensive coordinator with a first-time head coach, all new guys, new players, new scheme, all of that, where I'm comfortable where I'm at. I know my players. I know the scheme. I know the head coach. Like, Flores isn't just going to leave to be a DC somewhere else. He's going to leave to either be a head coach or he's going to stay. So I wouldn't be thinking about him as far as a head coach is concerned. So is Roman Wilson a viable wide receiver 3 in a competent offense? That's a good question. Maybe. I think a lot of what had to do with Roman Wilson, maybe he wasn't doing the studying part and didn't always know where to be. But if we're just talking about strictly route running, he was the best route runner that the Steelers had. But maybe they just couldn't trust him to be in the right spots. And if you can't do that, it's tough to play. So it's tough. It's tough. Nettie finally caught alive. Been watching all season. We appreciate you, my man. Thank you for showing up. Glad you could catch one. And just so everybody knows, the big show is tonight. Me and Big G are going to be chopping it up again tonight. So make sure you guys are there, ladies and gentlemen. TCO says Will Howard could be good with the right coach. You can say that. I mean, I think a lot of people would be good with the right coach. Absolutely. Will Howard still got to fight for the job, though. He's got to fight. There's too many Steeler fans out there that are just saying, give Will Howard the job. And I'm like, absolutely not. And all they want to point to is Tom Brady and Brock Purdy and Matt Hasselbeck and say, well, they were 6th-round picks or later and they made it. I'm like, guys, come on, man. 3 times. And I'll even give you another one. It's happened 4 times in the last 35 years. 4 times in 35 years. And the Steelers got to let go of our franchise to that with those kind of odds? No. Make him earn it. And if he can, great. But he's got to earn it. So You got to absolutely earn it. So Sneak said, how you not trust Roman, but you trusted Jonnu, who got yelled at numerous times on the field by Rodgers? I don't know. I don't know. But that's who they trusted. They trusted Jonnu. But first of all, they don't play the same position. But yeah, they trusted Jonnu. They didn't trust Roman. One of the things on how you trust Jonnu's a Pro Bowler. So Jonnu's proven to have a track record in the National Football League. That's why Roman Wilson doesn't have a track record of anything. So that would be one of the reasons why. So is John Gruden a name that interests you? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. John Gruden is, and people keep throwing his name around too. I'm like, why would you want John Gruden? Like, John Gruden, everybody, well, he's got an offensive mind. Is it recent? Is it an innovative offensive mind? Because the last time we saw John Gruden coach, his team sucked. His teams sucked. Well, it was the Raiders. Well, he chose to go there. Not to mention, before that, he was with Tampa. We don't like Mike Tomlin because he didn't really win a title. It was with Bill Cowher's players. John Gruden won a title with Tony Dungy's players. So there's that. So do you want that? You want a 62-year-old guy who didn't win his own title and has been fired twice, and he took a decade off of coaching in between sucking? No. So, and yes, Gruden was involved in too much drama. Yes. So, yes. And absolutely no to John Gruden. I don't even want to get into it because there's a lot that we could get into. But the only thing that really matters ultimately is he's a worse coach that is no longer coaching with us. So why would we want to do that? No. Absolutely not. So absolutely not. Yeah, the stuff he said in the email was disgusting. But even if, here's the thing, he said all that, and there's no way that the modern day NFL, and these NFL players are not going to respect John Gruden for that. Okay? That is just an absolute fact. He ain't walking into no NFL locker room after the shit that he said and think you're going to get respect in there. That ain't happening. That's number one. But number two, just purely as a Steeler fan, we chastise Mike Tomlin for decades because he didn't win a title. The only way he won one was with Bill Cowher's players. That's what everybody said all the time. Well, John Gruden did the exact same thing. Oh, by the way, when those players left, that's what everybody said. Well, when those players left, Mike Tomlin couldn't win anymore. He couldn't win playoff games anymore, which is true. John Gruden just couldn't win anymore when those players left. He couldn't win games when those players left. He got fired because they were terrible. Huge difference. Huge difference. So no, and to be quite honest, I don't even want to bring John Gruden's name into this because he's not going to be the coach. And no. So no. I appreciate the question. I appreciate the thought, but no. No. Now, Brian says, what do you think about Brian Flores as the head coach, Brian Daboll as the OC with Malik Willis at QB? I wouldn't be opposed to that. Would not. Now, the only problem is, and look, Flores and Brian Daboll worked together before, but if you remember, it was Bill Belichick texted Brian Flores congratulating him on a job that Brian Daboll actually got. Remember, that's how all this craziness started. Now, again, it's my friend. I can't be mad at my friend for getting a job that I didn't get. I can be jealous and envious of him, but I can't be mad at him for getting a job. But I wouldn't. I mean, Brian Daboll is a good offensive coordinator. He can put an offense together. He made Danny Dimes look good. I mean, yeah. So I love it. I love it. I would take that in a heartbeat. So, and Chris is saying, as I'm all about Willis talk. You can't teach that cannon of an arm. Yeah, but can you teach accuracy? Jeff George had a cannon arm too. Maybe the strongest arm in the history of the NFL. Joe Milton has an absolute cannon. The difference is Joe Milton couldn't throw a strike. He literally can't throw a 5-yard slant accurately. Can't do it. So, cannot do it. Justin says, yeah, that would be a weird one. I wonder how that affected Daboll's Flores relationship. And that's the thing. It's like, here I am, Brian Flores. I'm going to interview for a job that I already know that you got, and they're interviewing me anyway, so they're bringing me in as a token interview. But if we're friends, it's like, dang, it's like I can't be mad at him for getting the job. And it's not his fault that the team that hired him chose to use me for an interview. But I don't know. That would be weird. I think it could work if everybody was an adult. I think it could work. But again, you're dealing with personalities, so you never know. 209 says, what pieces would you add and remove to rebuild this offense? Well, let's start there. So, or would you go back to the West Coast scheme or something else? What combination would you like to see lead the reins at OC, head coach, QB, wide receiver, O-line? Well, it's tough to get down to wide receiver coach and O-line and QB coach. It's tough to see that when, you don't know who the assistants and all that stuff's going to be. But the one thing that I would say is I would start by rebuilding the wide receiver room. That was the one thing I would do. Or better yet, I would probably start by rebuilding and solidifying the offensive line. That's where I would start. Solidify that offensive line and go from there. Now, here's a thought. Just bear with me. The Steelers take a tackle in the first round. Caleb Luna. Okay? They take a tackle in the first round, and you put him at right tackle. If he's a right tackle, you move Mason McCormick over to left guard, which is his natural position. You move Troy Fautanu to right guard, which a lot of people think that he would be a better guard than tackle. You got Frazier in there. I'm just saying, you're starting to cook at that point. You're starting to cook. That's where I'm at with it. I think you got to start with the O-line. I know we got to rebuild the wide receiver room. That's a given. That is a 100% given. But I think you got to start. You got to build your offensive line. So, and again, you got Mason McCormick. Move him over to the left side because that is his natural position. And if you drafted a right tackle, and again, I'm not the guy that says, hey, draft the right tackle, put him at left. No. Draft the left tackle, put him at right. No. If you draft the right tackle, then put his ass at right tackle. If you draft the left tackle, then put his ass at left tackle. All this moving, no. Stop it. Just put them where they have been playing and let it go. Mason McCormick played left guard his whole career in college. Well, let him go there and be a left guard. And let's see if it's any better. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Bring in some competition there as well. So I'm just saying that's where I'm thinking. That's something to keep in mind. Not saying it's going to happen. Some people are talking about Proctor from Alabama. Man, look, I I Proctor, I think he's too big. I think he's too big to be a tackle. He's 365, 370 pounds. I think he's too big to be a tackle. I think he's got to be a guard. That's just my personal opinion. So I think he's fine. Justin saying I don't think I'd put Faetano at guard. I don't either. I think he's going to be fine. It was just one game. That was his worst game against really good players. Just an idea. We got a whole offseason. Just an idea. But I think, if anything, the Steelers got to get their O-line figured out. They got to get the O-line figured out. And I'm not saying they're that far away, but that's where I would start, because I don't care how good you are. If your O-line sucks, your team sucks. So you got to start there, get that solidified, and then next, you got to rebuild the room. You got to rebuild the room. You got to start from the ground up in that wide receiver room. I've said that. I'm going to keep saying it, and y'all are going to get sick and tired of me saying it. You're going to say, damn, Big B, you said it 100 times. I'm going to say it 200 times. Rebuild the entire room, and DK Metcalf can go. I'm serious. 5 new guys. Start over. Because MVS and Thielen aren't going to be there. And Scotty Miller doesn't need to be there. Okay? No. Start over. Just absolute terrible. Paying $30 million to DK Metcalf for 58 catches. Give me a break. And I get it. Part of that is Arthur Smith's offense. He's not going to get a guy and feature a guy that's going to have 85 to 90 catches. But he should. But yeah, got to start over. Got to completely start over. And again, if DK has to go and we trade him, because the Steelers shouldn't give him that guaranteed money. They need to restructure and say, we'll give you some guaranteed money, but that dollar amount per year is coming way down, DK. We want more salary cap relief. You're the one who made the mistake for whatever reason. You did it. Your fault. 100% on you. But now that we got you over a barrel, we're going to push you over. It's business. It's not personal. It's business. And what's he going to say? Well, as a Steeler organization, you should honor the contract. Hold on. How did we not honor it? We were honoring the contract. You're the one who made the mistake, not us. You're the one who got suspended for 2 games for some damn nonsense, not us. And we're willing to pay you money that we don't have to pay you. You did that to yourself. There's consequences, man. People, we live in a world where sometimes people just don't believe that there are consequences. And I am constantly telling people there are good and bad consequences to every single thing that we do. No matter what it is, is a consequence. And for his action, is losing guaranteed money, which means the Steelers have every right to do whatever the hell they want with that contract. You have no more guaranteed money. Sorry. So if we want to cut you, if we want to trade you, if we want to restructure you and give you less guaranteed because we want the salary cap relief, we have every right to do it. And I always say we when we're talking about Pittsburgh Steelers. I encourage you guys to do the same, because if you've ever bought a Pittsburgh Steeler jersey, went to a game, spent 1 penny on anything that's related to Pittsburgh Steelers, then you can say we. I know people get weird about that. Well, you don't play. You're not part of the team. Hey, man, I invested my hard-earned money. I'm saying we. Just like I bought a house, I bought a car, I'm saying we. Damn all the nonsense. So that's where I'm at with it. Sorry for the rant, but that's what it is. So we had a chance to get out from under DK's guaranteed money and chose not to. No, they have a chance. They're not paying them. They said that they were going to honor it. That doesn't mean that they have to. Like, he has no guaranteed money on his contract. At any time, the Pittsburgh Steelers can just say, we're trading you, we're cutting you, we're restructuring you. They can do that at any time. So they're not obligated to anything right now. They can do whatever they want. Yes. Yes. We are 100% not obligated to give him one more penny of money. Not one penny. So, who's my favorite head coaching candidate is Brian Flores is one. And I'll give you the order again. I know there was a lot of you that weren't in here. And appreciate everybody being in here, man. Thank you, guys. Is number 1, Brian Flores, 2, Shula, and 3, I'm still a Jesse Minter fan. I like Jesse Minter. I know a lot of people don't know a lot about him. I like him. The D coordinator for the Chargers. I like Jesse Minter. Some people say, it's too close to Tomlin, too much of a tie to Tomlin. Okay, I get it. But I like Jesse Minter. So that's just me. That's just me. So could 15 actually become a starting wide receiver for us? I tell you this, if Ben Skowronek is a starting wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, our wide receiver room is worse than what it was this year. That's not being disrespectful. That's just Ben Skowronek is a special teams guy that masquerades as a wide receiver. Can make a few catches for you. He can get you 6 to 8 catches a year. You need those guys, but that is not a starting receiver in the National Football League. Not even remotely close. Not even remotely close. So, and again, I think Ben Skowronek being on the football team is good because, again, he's an ace special teamer. You need those guys. But that was like Miles Killebrew. Like, would you want Killebrew starting at safety for you? Hell no. Absolutely not. But you did want him on your football team because he was a killer as far as special teams was concerned. That same method applies. The same thing applies. So, but yeah, as far as being a starting wide receiver, no, you don't want that. Pass the joint says, I say Flores because of his experience. We're going to have a lot of change over the next 2 seasons and a lot of uncertainty, and experience is premium. That is very, very true. And here's the thing you got to remember about Brian Flores. He was also working under the thumb of an owner that didn't want him to succeed. And he was winning. Think about that for a second. At your job, if you're working and your boss is doing whatever they can and even telling you they're going to incentivize you to do the job wrong, and you're like, absolutely not, man. I'm going to do this job right. I don't care. And then they fire you because of that. That's what Brian Flores was dealing with an owner that wanted to tank. He said no, kept winning, and because he didn't like Tua. What turns out, he was right about Tua, wasn't he? So, it's tough. That's tough. So, and I do too, Dark. You're right. I feel like they are waiting on Shula. That's kind of what I feel like too. They're going through the motions with everybody. And if anybody blows us away, great. But if not, I think they're waiting on Shula. That's what I believe. I think they are waiting on Shula. And again, you can't bring Shula in until after this weekend, but you can go to him. That's another thing. And quietly, you can easily go somewhere and meet with him quietly. You can do that without anybody knowing. You can do that. So you got to keep that in mind as well. Got to keep that in mind as well. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the Steelers do, but that's where I'm at with it. So But that's what I got for you guys today, man. Appreciate everybody being in here. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, make sure that you guys subscribe. And again, tonight, big show, me and Big G, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Make sure you guys are there, man. Until next time, aloha.